Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, we are caught in Storm Goretti. There's been red alerts issued. So just before we get onto this live stream, I am going to be flicking through the mainstream media and looking what's happening with this storm. I'm just going to give a quick update as of now, because there have been the weather warnings they started off as yellow, then they went to... the weather warning started off as yellow, then they went up to amber. Now we've got red weather warnings, which is literally danger to life. Now this is for wind as well. If anybody's watching, put it in the chat. If anybody's watching and they can remember the last time there was a red weather warning for wind, I don't know, guys. I don't know when that's ever happened before. So let me give you guys an update. Before we get on, though, the reason I'm not, some of you guys have been putting in the comments, the reason I'm not streaming on YouTube is because I'm banned. Yes, I'm banned from YouTube. So I will be streaming on you guys on TikTok. And I'm also streaming on you guys, which is Twitch. So and then this video will be uploaded onto YouTube. It's a bit of a faff to do it. It is. Honestly, it's a bit of a faff to do it. It's the only way I can do it at the moment. So if you're watching later on YouTube and you're like, oh, why is Sean not streaming on YouTube? It's because I'm banned. I think that ban will be over. Lisa is saying, why you got banned? I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. I've asked them why I was banned. I sent a message to them that particular night on the live stream. There were people going wild in the chat, just saying crazy things, right? And I don't want to ban people. I don't. Carl, my brother, is saying hi from Liverpool. What's the weather like in Liverpool, Carl? I don't want to ban people because, like, even when people outright insult me, I'm totally fine with it, because 9 times out of the 10, they, I would say all the times, it's meaningless, right? It's meaningless. And I don't want to start banning people. What I will say to people is, if you're going to, like, throw something out there, a wild accusation, literally, just like articulate that. Oh, Googleino is saying yes, but you need to stop the neo somethings in the chat. So when people are throwing these wild things out there, I personally think it's, like, just ridiculous, and it makes them look silly, right? It makes them look silly, and it makes them look absurd. If these people who are throwing wild things in the comments and in the chat, if they were articulating it and saying, like, I don't know, where is the evidence for this? Or this is evidence that this didn't happen, or something, I'd be like, yeah, all right, I would answer that. But if people are just going to, probably at the pub with their mates, just throwing wild things on there, I just ignore them, right? Because if somebody was saying that about me, I would just ignore that as well. And I don't want to start blocking people, like I've said, because sometimes it goes wrong. So what I do think I'm going to have to do is the next time, well, if we get to live stream on YouTube again, I'm going to have to open the live stream up as a members only chat. And that's not me doing that to be a douchebag. That's literally because, like, I don't want to get blocked again. So, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we are live right now. We're live on YouTube. No, we're not live on YouTube. Oh, we're live on TikTok, and we are on Twitch as well. My Twitch handle is The Real Sean Raven. So if you want to jump over there, that's fine. And listen, for you guys on TikTok, I know there's a lot of people watching on TikTok. I don't know how to change the chat so everybody can chat, so I'll try and get as many comments as I can. Googleino says, do half alive normal and then half alive with the members chat. You see, if I did that with half the live normal and open, then you'd still get that same amount of people throwing things out there. So I think it's either one or the other, right? Anyway, listen, ladies and gentlemen, red alerts in the United Kingdom. Let's get on with this. So I'm going to give an update because this has been updated now. In fact, yeah, who needs the Met Office? we've got heavy snow right now. We're just outside Sheffield. Anyway, so Storm Goretti, the first named storm of 2026, has been upgraded. It's currently battering the United Kingdom, and it's rapidly intensifying. And it does look like there's a weather bomb, which is a term for explosive when the pressure drops sharply and it brings violent winds. This is happening right now. So I want to give you guys the key things that have happened, and then we'll get on to Iran. So wind gusts have been recorded at 99 mile an hour at St. Mary's Airport in the Isle of Scilly. Widespread disruptions. Trains have been suspended in Cornwall from 6 p.m. Schools have closed early, or tomorrow they're closed altogether. We've got power cuts. We've got coastal flooding risks, and we've got waves growing. Heavy snows accumulating in Wales and the Midlands, with rain turning to snow overnight. Described by the Met Office as a multi-hazard event, potentially more than Storm Kieran, I think it is, in 23. So there's been a red weather warning issued. Now, again, when it's a red weather warning, that means it's a threat to life. So this is being issued, and this is being issued for wind. And again, that to me seems more terrifying, because I can't remember the last time, or if ever, a weather warning for a weather warning for wind. I don't know how often this happens. I can't remember ever a red weather warning for wind. So this has been issued by the Met Office. It covers much of Cornwall. It's in force now until 11 p.m. on Thursday. Guys, those people. So if you're in Cornwall, it's going to get a bit windy. It's going to get a bit windy if you guys are in Cornwall. So they should expect gusts of wind over 100 mile an hour in exposed areas. Expect flying debris, roofs coming off, all sorts of crazy things are going to be happening in Cornwall. Power lines down. Literally, those people in Cornwall are going to have to on the 9th of January. Those guys are really going to have to all bind together and make things happen. So this is the 8th red warning in the past 5 years, and the first for wind in the UK since Storm Irwin in January 2025. So there we are, guys. That's the we don't get red weather warnings that often. Other warnings, there's been an amber warning for heavy snow in the southwest, multiple yellow weather warnings, and an amber cold warning for most of the United Kingdom. So I'll come back onto that in a little bit, and I am going to keep flicking up to the. Oh, sorry, let me put the chat on. And I am going to keep flicking back and forwards to that as we keep going. So I want to talk about Iran for a second. Let me change that. I want to talk about Iran because people are not talking about it enough. Iran is the elephant in the room, ladies and gentlemen. It is. It really is. Listen, you guys on TikTok, I'm going to have to close you down pretty soon. I've got my phone's on 9%. I do apologize, and it really eats the battery. So I will be closing you guys down on TikTok. I will continue the live stream over on Twitch, and let me put my thing on. There we are. And I will continue this over on Twitch. Anyway, right. So Iran is the elephant in the room. It's always, people could argue. In fact, I've seen it. I watched the video earlier, and he was talking about what just happened in Venezuela is about Iran. And I was like, hang on. And I was struggling to get my head around this. But once I listened to it, I thought, you know what? That's absolutely sounds fair. So let me play this video for you guys. Give me a second. So I'm going to play you guys a video, and this guy's talking about how what's happening in Venezuela is about Iran, right? So let me share this with you.
I said that I thought that what's going on in Iran could yet prove to be a bigger story than any of this. And I've noticed you've been posting on social media about it. Just your reflections. Donald Trump did say that if the regime in Iran carried on killing protesters, he would intervene. They have carried on killing protesters, but perhaps his attention is currently elsewhere.
Well, I'm not sure you're right, actually, Andrew. He has intervened. He's intervened by removing the head of state of the country that was doing all the financial transfers and quite a lot of the weapons building for the Islamic Republic. And I refer, of course, to Venezuela. You know, the bit that we're missing in this Venezuela story is Venezuela is an integral part of the Islamic regime's ability to coordinate terrorist groups like Hezbollah, or to build ballistic missiles, or to build drones.
Sorry, Tom, I'm so sorry. Just explain to me why that's the case.
So, as you may be aware, the Islamic regime in Iran has always had a problem with sanctions ever since the 1979 revolution. In fact, particularly since Operation Eagle Claw, when the Americans tried and failed to rescue those hostages in the US embassy. I think it was about 100 hostages. Forgive me, I'm going to get the number wrong. And the Americans imposed sanctions on Iran at the time, financial sanctions, and then other sanctions have grown up. Well, one of the ways that the Iranian government has got round those sanctions, or tried to get around those sanctions anyway, is by using shadow banking facilities through countries like Venezuela. Now, over the years, many of the others have dropped away. Syria, for example, has dropped away. Countries in the Middle East have stopped cooperating. But one country that continued to cooperate right up until the 3rd of January, and probably is still cooperating a bit even now, is Venezuela. So what we've seen out of Venezuela is we've seen drugs carried by Hezbollah taken across into Liberia, Sierra Leone, and then up into Europe as a way of making money. We've seen weapons parts designed in Iran, built in Venezuela, then smuggled through some of this shadow fleet back into Iran, assembled into ballistic missiles, sent over into Russia, fired over to kill Ukrainians, and indeed some of them have crossed the border into Poland. So we're seeing actually already action against the Iranian regime. We just don't recognize it.
Okay, so what he's saying there basically, I know that was a long-winded video. What he's saying basically there is, what he's claiming, sorry, might I add, is he's claiming that Donald Trump is taking down the Iranian ability to wage war. Now, he's doing that by basically taking out their production facilities rather than, you know, because if you take the production facilities out, then you can't, you know, that you can't do anything. If you consider now, right, if you consider a lot of these things, a lot of these, for example, the migrant crisis, right, in the United Kingdom. I know this is, you know, I know this is like everybody understands the migrant crisis, right? Does anybody think that the government does not have anything to do with that? Like, does anybody think that the government of the United Kingdom have nothing to do with the migrant crisis in the UK? I don't know. I would say there is a lot of evidence to say that the government of the UK do have a lot to do with that. The main thing for me is the life jackets, right? I've always talked about the life jackets, but if you want to go even bigger than that, if you are some corrupt, and I'm not saying anybody is corrupt, I'm saying if, because I'm on TikTok, if there is a country that is operating with a high level of corruption, and they just want to make money, and they can operate with absolute impunity, why wouldn't they expand their operations to illegal stuff, right? You know, why wouldn't the government be implicit in that? It makes no sense not to do that. It makes every, you know, and there's every reason to do that. So I do think that Iran is the main game in town here. I think that what's happening in Venezuela is condiments, and very soon I do think we're gonna see that. But let's jump focus to Iran, because we've kind of jumped off the we've kind of jumped off the pace with what's happening out there. Remember, these protests, they're still ongoing. So imagine a nation on the brink where the weight of economic despair ignites a fire that spreads like wildfire across cities and provinces. That's Iran in late 2000 and, well, December going into 2026, like January 2026. A country gripped by one of the most intense waves of unrest in, I can't remember when this sort of stuff, when this sort of unrest happened in Iran. So let me take you through it step by step. from the spark to where we are now. And let's remember also that on both sides of this equation, sorry guys, on both sides of this Iran equation, you're going to get, you're going to get people throwing in, literally fanning the flames. You will have, online troll farms, online bot farms, throwing propaganda into Ukraine, into Iran. They're going, and there is an internet ban in Iran, so there's a cyber war going on under the radar. So it all began in late December back in 25. I think it was the 28th or 29th, depending on your. I think 28th or 29th. I can't remember which one. When crippling economic and financial woes finally boiled over, the Iranian currency had plummeted to record lows, losing over 50% of its value in months. So can you imagine, right? Just so you guys, I don't mean to, imagine going to the shop, right? And everything's just increased by 50% overnight. Your money that you've got in the bank is now worthless. Well, it's 50% less. Inflation soared above 50%, making goods unaffordable for millions. Shopkeepers, merchants in Tehran's main market were the first to strike, shutting down in protest against the currency devaluation, mismanagement, and the relentless bite of international sanctions. What started as localized demonstrations over shortages, power outage. Listen, guys, and I don't know if you know this, but many places in the Middle East, they don't get constant power. When I used to live in Baghdad, when I used to live in Syria, you don't get power all the time. Like you get power. I think, like when I lived in Syria, the power used to come on at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I think it used to go off at I think 7 o'clock at night or something. But you don't get power all day. Many countries in the Middle East, you don't and people take that for granted, right? You think, oh, I can plug, it's just gonna cost a bit more, right? But lots of countries in the Middle East, they don't get power 24/7. By the New Year's Day 2026, the protests had exploded across all of the map, touching everyone. Every one of Iran's 31 provinces. There were over 300 locations, from bustling metropolises like Tehran to small towns in the southwest. Workers, students, women, and even some disillusioned regime insiders joined the protests. As we stand of today, 8th of January, we're on day 12 of this, and it's not changed. That intensity, that drive, that movement. We're in 12 days now. Can you imagine that in the United Kingdom? 12 days of heavy protesting, and there have been fatalities, and I'll come on to that in a second. The crowds in Tehran were swelling to 25,000, with flames lighting up the night sky as demonstrators burned regime vehicles and buildings. Neighborhoods, similar scenes unfolded all over the country. Lots of analysts are warning of a perfect storm ahead, a potential tipping point that could reshape not just Iran, but the entire region. This is going to mean cutting off funding to Hamas, cutting off funding to Hezbollah, which is, as you guys know, Iran is the main funder of lots of these proxies in the Middle East. International voices from the United States have been threatening, threatening direct action if there's more bloodshed. And I don't know if there has been more bloodshed, but I know there has been. Make no mistake, guys, okay? What's happening in Iran isn't going anywhere. Do you know why? Do you know how I know it's not going anywhere? Because of how heavy the regime have come down on those people. Those people that are now protesting in Iran, right? We know things are bad in the UK, right? There were over 1,500. I think 1,000. I think there were over 1,500 executions in Iran. That number, I may be slightly off on that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Can you imagine that? 1,500 people gone now because they stood up to the government. So I know I know things are bad in the United Kingdom, but we're not at that stage yet. So what happens is when you get pushed to that boiling point, when you get pushed to that point of no return, once you go, like these people that are protesting now, they know that if they don't have a regime change, they're going to end up on that cutting block, literally. So that's giving them this more intensity because they know, listen, we've started this now. We need to, we need to follow this through. Whereas here in the United Kingdom, oh, we're going to protest. Oh, nothing happens to us and everything fizzles down. Right, before I jump onto the chat, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close you guys down on TikTok. I'm going to close you guys down on TikTok, and I will just continue this live stream on. I'll continue this live stream on Twitch. But don't worry, because I will be uploading it to YouTube. It's an absolute faff to upload it to YouTube, but I will be doing that. If you've not done so already, guys, please show your support over on Twitch. Do the liking, the following, the sharing, all those things, guys. It really does help me out. Anyway, TikTok, I'm going to close you guys down because my battery is now on 3%. So I am going to close you guys down now. I'm going to continue talking about Iran. We're going to continue talking about the latest developments in the world. I'm going to keep an eye on Storm Gertrude or whatever her name is. See where that's going. And I bid you good evening, and I'll see you in the morning. Right, we're off. Right, we are off. I'm at 3%. Right, listen. For those of you guys who don't know, I made a soup today. I made a borscht. The girls didn't like it, but, hang on. But. I don't know if anybody's ever tried this. I spoke to my friend who's Ukrainian. I said, mate, what do I need to do with this borscht? He said, right, okay, I got everything. He said, you need to grate beetroot with carrot and onion and garlic and fry it. By the beard of Zeus. Guys, it is something else. Honestly, it is absolutely phenomenal. Fried beetroot, all right? I know it sounds wild, but try fried beetroot. It's fantastic. Right, let me just have a look at breaking news for this storm. Let me see what's happened. Right, I've got some updates here. Right, I'll share this with you guys quickly. I just want to give an update on this storm because I know it's getting bad for some people. We don't have any wind here. It's pretty heavy snow outside. So I'm just going to be reading off this, guys, okay? Power cuts have hit Jersey. Power cuts have hit Jersey after Storm GORETTI made landfall. Jersey electricity have gone. 40,000 homes without power. Power lines felled by... Where's that? Wow. Okay. So there's power cuts in Jersey and power lines have fallen in Cornwall. Power lines have been felled by the high winds of Storm GORETTI. Cornwall Council said conditions are dangerous in the country as it told members of the public to stay indoors and not to travel. We're receiving reports of fallen trees and power lines and debris blocking the roads. Listen. You know those people that are going out now, like right now in Cornwall, there's people, human beings going out there to repair those power lines. I can guarantee it. They may not be, this is just jumped. Wow. Guys, this is just jumped up. Right. Cornwall is preparing for the worst as Storm GORETTI makes landfall. Councillor Lee Frost told Sky News the authorities were preparing for the worst. I think as the day has gone on, more and more reports have gone about how serious the situation is. People are taking it seriously, he said. At the minute now, here in Bodmin, we've got a lot of rain and a lot of wind, but it's not as bad as it possibly could be. So let me jump down to these power cuts. We're receiving reports of fallen trees and power. So where I was going with that, right now, as I'm getting this from the mainstream media, there are power lines And I'm, listen, guys, I'm just visualizing them like swinging. They're probably not, you know, they're probably not swinging, going, zzz, but that's what I'm visualizing. Human beings are going out there to fix them, right? There are humans going out there to fix them. What kind of humans do you think they are? Do you think it's women? I don't know. Do you think it's women that are going out there to fix them? Do you think it's Chloe, Karen, and Jane? Do you think it's Chloe, Karen, and Jane that are going out to fix them? What type of person do you think is going out there to fix those lines? You know, and it just astonishes me, like, how much we depend on masculinity and how much we don't appreciate it. More than 25,000 guys. This is really bad. This is really bad. I'm looking at the updates from 7. Yeah, it's just all over, guys. It looks really bad. New record, 99-mile-an-hour wind strikes UK. Right, I will keep jumping back to that because that's giving live updates. Lewis Lou is saying extreme wind here in Brighton area. Wind terrifies me, guys. It does. The wind always terrifies me. I'm fine with the wind. I'm fine with the snow, but that wind, things can come off roofs and everything. Debbie Doobs is saying, I'm on the top of a hill. We're on the top of a hill as well. So get extremes of weather, but it's not too bad at the minute. I think the most of this is going on down south Cornwall area. Leanne is saying, what's happening in Germany, Sean, with the power cuts? Have missed you speaking about this last few days. Yeah. So, okay. So there's this group in Germany. I can't remember what they're called. It's like, basically they've been setting fire to substations and the Germans are without power. And Sherry is saying we have snow in South Yorkshire. Yeah, we have snow. We have snow as well outside. It's pretty powerful. Russia installed satellite dishes on horses to access. I can't. So what I saw as well, and I don't know how credible these things are. You know those Shahed drones. Let me see if I can find a picture. So basically, what the Russians have done is, I love the Russians. They've put a Shahed drone in the air, and on the back of it, they have put a surface-to-air missile launcher. I don't know what it's called, but basically, what they're saying is now they've got a rocket launcher on top of a Shahed, and this Shahed will go chasing the helicopters that shoot them down. Helen, it's me, is saying, yeah, South Coast can follow it live on Weather App. It looks really bad. It really does, guys. It looks really bad. Yeah, had scaffolding collapse a couple of weeks ago in busy area looking over. Give me a second, guys. Let me check the let me check the snow. Yeah, so it's white over where we are, but it's like there's absolutely no wind. White over where we are, but absolutely no wind. Oh my God! And Snowdonia has an avalanche warning. Wow, can you imagine? Right, listen. Let me jump back onto this because I do want to talk a little bit more about. I do want to talk a little bit more about Iran. All right. And like we've said previously, the United States and Israel, I feel, are going to go and have the main war in Iran. Now, there's so many data points pointing towards this. You've got the laws that were passed in 2023. You've got the international trade routes that were set up. You've got you've got like this global. You've got this very peculiar global. It's not an alliance, but I guess I can't think of a better word to say. You've got this very peculiar global alliance at the moment where, like, this Russian, this Russian shadow fleet, and I've spoke about it for quite a few times. I don't know what was on that ship. The ship that the US military just went and took control of. But for those of you guys who watched that video earlier on that I shared, where the guy's saying that the Venezuelans are producing lots of weapons for the Iranians, and then they are illegally shipping them back to the Iranians using these dark fleets. So we always, people are led to the assumption that these dark fleets that are just carrying oil, right? But why wouldn't they be carrying guns? Why wouldn't they be carrying bombs? Why wouldn't they be carrying munitions? So now you can see this like shadow arms trade. The shadow arms trade where unsanctioned ships are, sailing the seas with God knows what on board. Right, let me just see if there's been any updates on this, because I know this is like affecting everybody in the United Kingdom right now. No updates for 8 minutes. TG 102. I think this is Silly Gallardi. I'm pretty sure this is Silly Gallardi. The media here in Israel say we will not. Oh, hang on. Right, sorry, I missed the previous comment. Iran plunged into internet blackout as protest over economy spreads nationwide. Yeah, listen, I don't know if anybody's ever had the internet turned off on them before. It's absolutely terrifying. Like, it's probably the scariest I've ever been. I've told you guys this before. I was in Baghdad. I was in the green zone in Baghdad, and everybody's internet went off, right? So we had this guy, I think his name was Faisal. He was like the local internet guy. So everybody's phoning Faisal up, right? I was like, Faisal, my internet's gone off. And then nobody's phone signal worked either. And then, like, all right, this is not, what's going on here? Anyway, the next thing, we heard these I think they were T-72s. I think they were T-72 tanks. If anybody's ever heard a T-72 tank on concrete, it's absolutely terrifying. Let me rephrase that. Any tank is terrifying when you're on the receiving end of it. So these tanks came and just cordoned the roads off, and then like just trucks and trucks and trucks and trucks of Iraqi army turned up, and it was like, wow, what's actually happening here? So yeah, when the internet gets turned off, it is terrifying. Huge traffic delays as long queues spotted on approach to Tamar Bridge. I'm assuming that's leaving. The country. The media here in Israel say we will not, as attacking Iran actually can shut down the riots. I'm sure we have the Mossad thing doing stuff from within. Yeah. So I think at some point there has to be maybe it will maybe it won't be if you understand subversion, right? If you understand subversion, you've got like Yuri Bezmenov's 4 phases. So you've got demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and then normalization. So what you could argue is that the Iranians right now have just jumped straight into crisis. And when that crisis expands and the government naturally, and the country naturally eats itself, that's when you can go in as peacekeepers or whatever and get your boots on the ground. Yeah, Google is saying a lot of more protest. Internet's gone down as well. U.S. President Donald Trump has again said the U.S. will strike Iran very hard if the government. Well, do you know what? I think I can say kills protesters on here. Kills protesters. I mean, look, the United right now, the world is absolutely bonkers. You know, I mean, it's fantastic to watch. You know, they should make like a little sitcom out of it. We're on what episode? What Humanity episode? What season of Humanity are we in right now? So we know that they're willing to do these things, right? We know that the United States are willing to go in hard. We know that the United States are willing to deploy. Literally, we know that the US are willing to like. We know that like. I don't like, I'm trying to think of something more outrageous than steal a world leader. I mean, if you could argue whether Maduro was a world leader, but to go into a country, right? Like, honestly, I don't think people understand how much of a flex this was from the United States. They went into a country and this country's already spent, you know, billions maybe on air defenses to stop the United States coming in. They literally breezed in there and breezed out without losing anyone. Like, can you imagine how much of a flex that is? Can you imagine how terrified other people around the world are? Debbie Doobs is saying, I remember our school getting a computer. They used to wheel it into the classroom. You were honored if you got, if your class got it. I don't know where that's going. Oh, okay, maybe I'm missing. Maybe I'm missing something here. I don't know where that's coming from. Will Iran be a Christian country again, like the good old days? I think, well, I mean, there's certainly a comeback of Christianity. There is, right? There's definitely a comeback of, you know, people going to church. So the US are talking about Greenland and now Iran. So the main game. So let me, I know I've done this. I know I did this yesterday. Let me just show you guys a map of Greenland. Greenland's closer to the US. So this was from January the 10th. What? Right, this is right, guys. This is sending me crackers. This is sending me bonkers. Right. Tell me I'm wrong. Oh, it's 2026. Right, that's why it's 2026. So this was from January the 10th, January the 10th, 2025. So look at Greenland and the proximity to the United States and Canada. Like, there's no way that, like, you know, I totally understand. And you know, you've kind of got to understand that. There we go. Look, though part of the continent of North America, Greenland has been politically and culturally associated with Europe. So it's physically part of North America, right? Greenland is part of the continent of North America. So the argument that the United States, being North America, should control it, you know, it is a strong argument. You know, it's a strong argument. Right, let me just jump down here. Okay, so Denmark contributes 2/3 of Greenland's budget revenue, the rest coming mainly from fishing. Potential oil, gas, and rare earth mineral reserves had attracted prospecting firms. So, again, you know, there's a lot of, basically, they're not allowed to mine. They're not allowed to drill for oil. Now, I don't think the United States need to go into, I don't think the United States are going to take this militarily. They don't need to. You know, they really don't need to. All you need to do is say to the people of Greenland is, right, Greenlanders, you fantastic people, do you guys want to mine your shit and earn a load of money? Or do you want to, like, keep living on handouts from Denmark? I know what I would say. Can you imagine it, right? Can you imagine this, right? Can you imagine you were sat on, like, in your garden, you had, let's just say you had an oil well in your garden, right? Pretend you had literally, this is the best example, right? just pretend you had an oil well in your garden, but your local council, I don't know, you live in Cornwall, right? And Cornwall Council won't let you drill for oil. They're like, yep, do you know what? And you're skinned, right? You're absolutely skinned, but you don't want to sell the house because you can't sell the house because it's been given to you. It's been inherited. You've got nowhere else to go. And you're sat on all this oil and you're like, oh God, if only I could get this oil out and like sell it. But Cornwall Council, they're like, no, you're not allowed to do that. How would you feel if the council next door knocked on your door and said, Putzinator, you know all that oil you've got in your garden? Yes. Well, if you just say that your house and your garden is now part of our county, you can take all that oil. You can we'll let you drill that oil. Do you know what? We won't even, if you don't want to drill it, I'll bring my drilling team in there. We'll drill for the oil and we'll just pay you for it. You won't even have to do anything. You just sit back and make a shit ton of money. What would you say? Would you say, no, I want to be with Cornwall. I want to stick with Cornwall Council or whatever. That's pretty much like it is. So, but with the Iranians, that's a different kettle of fish. Lewis is saying, any country without IMF, we will hear the West trying to infiltrate, attack, and destabilize. It's part of the New World Order and is linked to everything that is coming. Is it? I don't know. Do you have okay? So IMF would be it's not the Tom Cruise you mean the Tom Cruise Impossible Mission Force? So he's talking about the International Monetary what is it? IMF, International Monetary Fund. Sorry, International Monetary Fund. Yeah. I can remember when I was in Ukraine, right? And I used to go to these cocktail parties. Yeah, I did. Can you imagine me at a cocktail party? And the first few of these cocktail parties you go to, it's very unnerving. It is. It's very unnerving when a prime minister of a country walks past you and you're like, oh my God. Or like, I don't know, really high ranking diplomats are like prime ministers and presidents are walking around. And after I'd been to a few of them, I was totally fine. I'd get in there. I'd go straight to the buffet. I'd get the salmon. They always have the salmon and it's on like a little bit of bread and it's got like a twist and it's got some dill on it. I always go to the salmon. I'll fill my face with the salmon and I'll just blast that champagne until I'm well and truly ready. Sorry, where I was going with this. I can remember talking to somebody from the EBRD. I think that's right. European Bank RD. For Reconstruction Development. I think that's what it is. EBRD. European. Go and Google it, guys. It's EBRD. I don't know what it stands for. Anyway, I was talking to this guy, and he was talking like financial stuff, and I had no idea what he was talking about. But one of the things that stuck into my mind massively, we'd all had a few champagnes, was he was saying, no, we don't actually want to create money. We want to create debt. We're looking to expand our debt portfolio. And I was thinking, why would you want it? Like, what? What is that? What? You want to expand your debt? Because, for me and you don't want to expand your debt. I know I don't want to expand my debt. But for these banks and these bankers, they look at things totally different. So for them, they want to expand that debt portfolio. So what that basically meant was we're going out, we're out here in Ukraine and we're just throwing money at people. Oh, do you want $1 million? Here you go. Do you want $1 million? Here you go. Oh, you're going to have to pay us back with interest. So I do think there may be a kernel of truth in that. I think you see, we talk about this New World Order thing, and I don't know whether it's by design or whether it's just a natural progression. Yes, I get it, right? We all want to think that there's some, overlord sat behind a desk and, that there's some sort of, there's an overlord sat behind a desk and, they're controlling everything. Or could it just be this is just the natural progression? We're clearly going to get to 2 states. two states. That was two. We're going to get to two entities, right? Oceania and Eurasia. That's what we're going to get to, because as the bigger countries absorb the smaller countries, you will naturally get two. And those two are not going to want to fight. Why? Why would they? They would. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. Those two are going to want a perpetual war that doesn't really do anything. Then those two are going to want a frozen war. Why are they going to want a frozen war? Well, think about it. If you have a war, what are you producing? You're producing destruction. You're literally your human labor goes into destruction. It makes no sense. I know this is a weird way of thinking about it, but think about a bomb, right? Think about a mortar bomb or an artillery shell, whatever. It costs maybe $200, $500 or whatever. When that thing goes up and it comes down and it goes kaboom, it will cause maybe $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 worth of damage. That's all stuff that needs to be repaired. That's all stuff that needs to be replaced. So rather than building spaceships to better humanity and go into the cosmos and make everybody, and live in broad sunlit uplands, we're just literally wasting our time destroying ourselves. Oh, hang on a minute. Googleinos is saying teenager pleads guilty after planning Is that the one that was going to attack the Oasis concert? I think it is. I think that's the one that was going to attack the Oasis concert. Chop 90. Hello, Chop 1987. He's saying, have you seen the online safety bill? And Apple tells us users digital ID is coming. I mean, I used to give this wild scenario, right? I used to give the wild scenario of if the government, and look, guys, this is coming to children as well. In fact, let me get this up. Let me get an article, because this is one of the things that get me banned. There we are. So, like I just said, I'm not making it up. Newborn babies could be given digital ID in deeply sinister expansion of controversial Labour policy. So, sorry. Can you remember, right? Can you remember when Keir Starmer came up and he said, the digital ID, it's all about stopping illegal migration. That's why we need newborn babies to have the digital ID. But here's the thing, right? You know what? Let me go back. So remember when I used to give you guys that wild scenario? The wild scenario that was if everybody's firstborn child had to be given to the government and it was law, how would you resist that? And, I used to give that scenario because I never thought that would happen. What if your child has to be given a digital ID and you don't want that child to have a digital ID? What happens? Literally, what happens? Like, look, and I'm just asking a question, right? What happens in the event? What happens that in the event that you don't, I don't know, you Chop 1987, and I don't even know if you're a man or a woman, Chop, but I'm going to assume you're a man. So Chop 1987 and his wife or his girlfriend have a baby, and they decide, they're like, yeah, do you know what? We don't want our choplet. We don't want our choplet. We don't want our choplet to have a digital ID. But the government say, no, it's the law. How would you legally resist? You can't. You literally can't. You can't resist. Oh, hang on a minute. Joshua, with a fantastic thumbnail, is saying, it's the reptilian overlords that want to control all of us. Oh, man, are we... What time is it? Are we going reptilians? Are we going reptilians? I'll go. Listen, are we going reptilians? Like, this is one of those wild theories, and it's so wild. You can't take like honestly, like. I know, you know, there's supposed to be a secret race of reptilians controlling everything. And look, maybe it's true. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'll be quite clear. I don't know. I'm not saying it's not. It's just one of those things that's so far-fetched, right? It's so far-fetched. But then I can remember David Icke saying that members of parliament are in a secret gang in Westminster and they're bringing children in. So, like, that turned out to be true. But this, you know, the reptilians thing, it's so wild and out there. Has anybody got any evidence of this? You know, is there any evidence? Like, has anyone ever seen a reptilian sober? Right, let me jump down because there's quite a few comments on here. Googleinos are saying Russia invokes nuclear doctrine in response to US-UK seizure of sanctioned Venezuelan oil tanker. I don't know what was on this oil tanker, guys. I don't know what was on this oil tanker. Do you know what, guys? I'm calling it now. That oil tanker definitely didn't have oil on it. I'm going to speculate that it had some sort of weapon systems on it. That's what I'm throwing out there. Tug Bong 1 is saying, I don't trust UK government. They've lied to every generation. I've spoken to people from World War II with cancers from nuke tests. Yeah, what is it? The bikini, was it the bikini? It was a bikini atoll, I think it was. With cancers from the nuke, they denied when everyone got ill. They've just not got our best interests at heart, only money. You see, I've worked, right? I've worked at those. I've worked at the highest levels of government. And what you're saying is true, but it's also not true. So, hang on. So when you're in government, right? When you're in government, you've got to make decisions for the good of everyone, right? So if your decision... sometimes you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. But yeah, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead with it. I don't trust I certainly don't trust this government either. I certainly don't trust this government. But I do understand that there are, like, the public don't need to know everything. You know, we really don't. We don't need to know everything. Like, does Karen and Jenny who work on the tills in Asda, did they really need to know what British Special Forces are doing this evening? Do they need to know? Do the politicians, does Jeremy Corbyn need to know what our special forces guys are doing in whatever country? Do they need to know? So there is something called need to know. And, so these lines get blurred. Chop is saying, I seen that on X, one of the Dark Fleet got hit by a drone. Speaking about drones and these Dark Fleets, it's only a matter of time. It is, ladies and gentlemen, it's only a matter of time before we see a US ship or something get sunk by one of these Dark Fleet ships, or a civilian shipping vessel, a civilian cargo ship that has a ton of drones on it. And that's going to be the future of warfare. The future of naval warfare is asymmetric. Oh, and there's been a man jailed in New York for hoax kaboomers threats to UK hospitals and venues. Right, okay. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to close this down now. In fact, do you know what? I'm not going to close this down now. Let me give a storm update. Let me see if there's been any storm updates. Yes, there has. There has indeed. Just a picture. Let me Google it again. Give me a second. Oh, 7 minutes ago from Cornwall Live. So from Cornwall Live, so they are getting it the work. I feel a bit, you know, I don't feel guilty. I'm so thankful we're not getting the wind. 40,000 properties without power in Cornwall. And again, there'll be men out there right now. You know what? There'll be people out there, and I'm going to say that they are predominantly men. Literally men. Men are going to be out there in this weather, in this wind, in this rain, in this snow, and they are going to be fixing those power lines. So 40,000 properties can turn their heating back on. And we don't, like, that's masculinity. That is literally masculinity. That's why, that is the, you know, that's when the blood memory kicks in, the explorer gene. The fight or flight, you know, where those men, they're out there, they're trying to come to, you know, they're trying to do a task and they're working together. More than 40,000 homes have been without power across Cornwall this evening. Gusts of, yeah, I mean, we spoke about that, yeah. Oh, we've got some tips from the National Grid. Right. We've got some tips here from the National Grid. Oh, there's a cut map as well. I didn't realize that. Keep a lantern. A lantern. Who has a lantern? Does anybody have a lantern? Like you go in there with some matches. Who has lanterns? Keep a lantern or torch somewhere that's easy to find. Check that the batteries are working and always make sure you have a spare set too. If you have a torch, I always do this. Turn the batteries the wrong way around until you come to use it. Then you can't hit the on button by mistake. We're in regular contact with the press, so have a wind up battery or solar radio ready so you can listen to local radio updates, guys. I don't know if you've got one. Go on to my showcase. We've got like loads of those stuff. Have a backup power bank or solar charger. We've got those as well in the house, so you can keep your mobile or tablet. You know what? I'm probably going to do a sale. I'm probably going to use this as a sales video tomorrow. Tablet topped up, so you can follow updates on social media channels and our online power cut map. I am going to look at that in a second. Digital and cordless phones may not work during a power cut, so have one you can plug in directly to stay connected with family and friends and the emergency services. Protect all sensitive and valuable electric equipment with a surge protector. You know what? That is, you know what? I didn't even think of that. Yeah, surges. Cramp. Yeah, I went to the gym. If you have a mains operated chairlift, sorry. If you have a mains operated chairlift, check to see if there's a manual release handle you can use this to return to the ground level if the power cuts. You can imagine it, can't you? Somebody going up in their stair lift. Dennis! 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 What? My chair's stopped. What do you want me to do? Has the power gone out? You can imagine it. Let me open this map up. I'll share this with you if it's worthwhile. Oh, it definitely is. Right, we are gonna share this national grid. We're gonna share this map now. We are sharing this map. I'm gonna share the shit out of this. Oh, why is this the first time I'm learning about this? So I don't know what I'm looking at here. I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what this is. Right, maybe I shouldn't have jumped on without knowing what. Right, oh, so this. Okay, right, okay. So this is where the power cuts are. Right, okay, I've got it. So New Grimsby. New Grimsby. Right, so there's lots of power cuts. Wow, I was expecting like one, but so all these areas, I'm assuming key. Let's get the key. Right, okay, so wow, so there's lots of incidents. Right, okay, so there's a ton of incidents across the United Kingdom at the moment. The blue circles, guys, look, I'm looking at this for the first time. So the blue circles are multiple incidents. So, for example, there's been 6, a 12, a 2, a 5, a 10, a 4, a 5, a 4, a 9. 79 incidents there, by the beard of Zeus. Wow, can you imagine being on that southern tip there? They must be getting a right battering. And then you go, right, do you know what? I'll stop sharing that, but that's the first time I've seen that. I've never seen that before. I'm shocked I didn't know that existed. Anyway, right, listen, guys, I'm going to turn this off now. It does look crazy. The storm is absolutely battering that south coast. You're relatively lucky if you're not affected. Will America invade Iran? Well, actually, on the chat, Silly Gallardi was saying she doesn't see the utility in an invasion, and I think that's fair. So I think invade would be the wrong word. But once this country's been in crisis for long enough, they're going to be screaming for somebody to walk in, and then somebody will just be able to breeze in and say, we're here, take your hijabs off. Right, I'm going to close it down now, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, if you're on or you're watching on YouTube later, you've not done so already, please make sure you subscribe to the real Sean Raven, and I'm on TikTok, and we're on YouTube, and we're on X as well. So please hit all those buttons, guys. I'll be back on at 10 tomorrow morning. This video will also be uploaded to YouTube. It's an absolute faff for me to upload it because I've got to wait for this to do. Then I've got to download it from the cloud. Then I've got to upload it to YouTube. Then it's got to run through the checks, and then it will be on eventually. Anyway, I'm hoping to get back on the live stream next week on YouTube. And I bid you all good evening, ladies and gentlemen.